I'm like, do it.
It all comes back.
It feels like first episode, season 1.
Hey, that one was good. We were excited. And after that, I think that's when it kicked in. Like, oh no, why did we do this? Melissa's like, I'm out, bro. You guys are doing too much.
She's like, wait, we're not getting paid for any of this?
Yeah.
Like, no.
She's like, why are you guys spending so much time on this? Which I get. But anyway.
I hear you.
Okay. Okay, sorry, this is bad. This is our first time, technically, kind of. Okay. So welcome back, everybody. Welcome, Primas Y Primos, to the Primas Podcast. Dang, that was like Primas. But yeah, we're back, season 3. Prima.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back from this long break. What was it? 2 weeks, Prima? 3 weeks?
It was a while.
Yeah, we had each other blocked. We just needed time to revamp, to do a lot of self-care, to rebrand a little bit with our new logo. And look, new and improved penis looking mics.
Yeah, here's
Thanks.
mine.
Compliment of Cindy. Thanks, Prima.
Well, this is a Primas Podcast budget.
Awesome. You put on our credit card that we don't have yet.
Just gonna pull up my notebook. I'm a big Frida Kahlo fan, and my tias and my cousins from Mexico, every time my mom goes and visits, they're like super cool and they send back like a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, that is a cute notebook.
Yeah, but anyway, just wanted to show it off or whatever.
Yes, but welcome back, everyone. Honestly, we needed this break. And after hearing the season finale of season 2, I didn't realize, I think I counted after rewatching it. I must have said, I need a break like 50 times. And it wasn't in a bad way. I just feel like, as usual, there's things going on in our lives that are out of our control. And I just honestly needed a break from podcasts because we do this every week. And that time off, I just needed it. It felt good. I did a lot of self-care. And I did actually catch a flu. So just to show how I wasn't 110% on my A game.
Mm-hmm. That's good. We're going to talk about a little bit of self-care today. We're going to remind people who have been listening to us what we're about. And if you're new, don't mind us. We're newbies. We're beginners. We have a year in, but you know, we're still very much learning. But I think this is our year. I think this is it. Who knows though? We shouldn't make promises. We'll see what happens.
We always play.
We have to adapt.
Yeah, let's just roll with it. I just recently got that advice. Just roll with it. That's what I'm gonna tell people every time now. Just roll with it, guys. Don't even ponder on that.
Yeah, for sure. For real. Like, you're wasting time to just ponder on it. Okay. So yeah, so my break was awesome. And so I wanted to ask you, Prima, what did you learn during this break? Because I'm so glad we're doing this in seasons. For me, it's like chapters also. It's like, oh, thank God chapter 2 is done with. And now we get to start brand new kind of, but like a new chapter to build on what we have.
Yeah. So what I learned in this time is just self-reflecting back a year ago. I had just graduated from college. Shout out to Cal State LA. I thought I was ready, but then also a year ago, I had started therapy. And so I really didn't have things figured out. And fast forward to the last 2 weeks of season 2, I still don't have a lot of things down, but I'm making progress. And I just felt that I still need to pay attention to my body and pay attention to certain things that it's telling me to be mindful of. And so within that 2-week break, I got sick. And that just shows to me that I wasn't taking care of myself like I should have been. And I still need to work on things like that and learning to read my body when I burn out. You know, I'm in social services. I have a daughter. And this podcast takes a lot of my time. And so I just think it taught me to realize or pay attention to my body when I'm burning out.
Yeah, that's good. And it's good that you're conscious of it, because I think a lot of us will get into our rhythm and we won't listen to ourselves. My mom always tells me, like, I always know when something's wrong with me. Like, I try to trace it, like what's going on, whether it's physical, mental. And my mom's always like, how do you know? And I'm like, oh, this is happening because of this, or this is whatever. And I'm like, because I'm very sensitive. Like, I pay attention to how I feel physically, my face, or, you know, my energy levels. And so I'll know when something's off, and I don't like to feel off. It happens, but it doesn't feel good.
Exactly. I didn't feel good. And Prima, when we were talking about it, you pointed out something, and it's that LA mentality that I'm trying to break away from, where I'm trying to not be busy every hour of my life. And I need to learn to slow down and emphasize on self-care, you know, like I co-parent with my for my daughter. And on days I don't have her, I really need to put that work into myself. And I wasn't. So this season, I'm consolidating all my errands on Wednesdays, including podcasts, our meetings and everything. So you're right. Pay attention to your body. It's a good one that I don't think I've mastered yet, but I'm getting better at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a relationship we have to build with ourselves, you know, like, and so during my break, I did a lot of like introspection. I was very fortunate to be able to travel outside of the country to Mexico, which I love Mexico so much. And so I was able to break away. Like, it was like, okay, great, I'm really leaving this behind. Like, I have a lot of cool closure, and in between, like, therapy for myself. And I love to be alone, not all the time, but there's just moments. So like when I did go to Mexico, there were times where I got to be alone in Mexico and in a different environment, and it just felt really refreshing. That's something that I've learned I need, you know, like, I was with my family, but not too much family went this time. So it was already like perfect. It was like, okay, good. It's not like I have to visit with 1,000 people. We have a big family, you know? And so you don't go on, I don't never go to LA. It is my summer vacation, but I never go to vacation. It's like the most stressful thing. And I'm learning to cut back even on that, because it was hard to even, it was just planning, you know, to make sure I saw everybody. And it was, I would always leave like so exhausted, and it would take me like forever to get back into my rhythm when I got back to Colorado. And, you know, so yeah, so, you know, like, we're in a relationship with ourselves, and we're always changing. Our environments are always changing, our circumstances, our age, the way that we perceive things. And so once you do learn yourself, it's still very much like, well, that's right now, that it could be different. And that's something that I want to talk about real quick. Or did you have something to say? Because I saw you like.
No, Prima. No, let's jump into it. Let's jump into whatever. It was just a little quick touch up of how our time off was.
So I was going to say, it was really nice to come back, because I feel refreshed, and I feel like in order for us to continue to learn more, like at a faster pace, is to like work on ourselves. And, you know, that's what you were saying, like in LA, there's so much distraction, and our family's out there, you know, I don't have family where I'm at. It's just me and my mom and my daughter. So it's easier for me to limit my distractions. And I do it. And I think once you start to do it, you're going to feel better. And we're just going to do better in the podcast, because we'll take ourselves more serious. You know, things will be in the back of our head, like work on that. Even though it's the weekend, you have some time right now. You shouldn't be watching. So, I mean, we'll get into, right now, me and my daughter are into this, like, it's kind of weird, but it's like these minks and like dogs that they train to hunt for rats in like farms, and then they recycle those rats. Like, they feed them off to like other animals or whatever, but it's like a humane way. I don't know. I think it's really cool though, how they train the animals and how the guy communicates with the animals. Cause I feel like I'm getting into that a little bit.
Okay.
Like, I'm starting to, I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like I can talk to animals, and I feel like they're receiving an energy, not like who knows, like our vocabulary, but I don't know. I feel like I'm like, hey, it's all good. Or if I go like
Cool.
this to a moth,
You're
like if
like
I'm
you
reactive to a moth, I'm just like, I'm so sorry. And I am, because I know it's not going to hurt me. And I need to work on my little insect fears, creature fears, because I hate that my reaction is so conditioned. It's like, and I'm like, no,
just smash it with
little
your
ants.
hand, and it's like it's unnecessary to do that.
No,
Just
I could never.
just-
Smash it with your hand. Or just get some spray and poison it down.
That's like your first instinct. I'm judging you. All lives, all
No, it's
insect
always like,
lives are. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So you're invoking your like Dr. Doolittle within you,
yes, I feel like it's a thing that's happening.
or like Ace
I
Ventura,
don't
Pet
know.
Detective, like part 2 in that
Oh,
intro scene where
yes.
like all the animals are just like around him.
Yeah.
I dig
Speaking
it.
of fears, so I wanted to talk about, I think I observe that a lot of people, we care too much what other people think about us. Like, for example, if I get ready to go to work in the morning, and for me especially, I'm like, sometimes I'm tired and I don't want to get super ready, but I know that I have to because I'm going into work versus staying at home, right? And there's so much pressure, like your hair has to look a certain way, it has to look presentable, your makeup, what you're wearing, you have to wear a bra. Wearing bras is hard, like it's annoying. There's just so much planning, and it's because, and when I break it down, for me, it's like, oh, we're doing this because if we don't, it's not going to be acceptable. It'll be fine. They can't fire you over going in on your pajamas. I don't know. Not at my job. Thank God. I don't ever go in on my pajamas, but like we have these little pressures, and that's what I mean by we care too much what other people think, because I don't have to wear makeup. I don't have to do my hair a certain way. And that's just an example, of how we're always so like afraid, and we show it a lot in the way we like physically care for ourselves. It's like we care a lot about what other people think of us, good
like
or bad.
Acceptance, a fear of acceptance.
I mean, I think the core of that is because we want to be accepted. But sometimes like we'll limit ourselves, like we'll be like, no, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to make this decision because so-and-so is going to judge me. Or I don't want to do this because in Spanish, with growing up with my grandparents, they would always tell me, like when I would get home late, when I was already like past 21 years old, I was a responsible young adult. I was reckless, but I was responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd always come home. I wanted to come home to sleep in my bed. And my grandparents were like, nope, because you're coming home at a certain time. What are the neighbors going to think? And so, ¿qué van a decir los vecinos, right? Like you hear that so much. And that's what I mean by our fears. Like, why do we care what our neighbors think?
Mm-hmm. To hold up that perception that like.
But do you think that's true? Like, do you get impacted that way by like?
No. And I think it comes with, honestly, not age. It has to come with the sense of self. It has to come with the sense of, I want to say, self-awareness, consciousness, and understanding, confidence. Did I say confidence or not? But I would say confidence, because look at me. I'm 31, and I'm gonna apply this to my situation. I'm 31 and I go to work in my yoga pants, a loose shirt, workout shoes. Like you would think my attire is going to the gym, right?
Yeah, but you look good. I look good.
Yeah. And it's like, but you know what I mean? It's not that getting ready. I don't hardly ever wear jeans. I don't hardly ever wear nice pants, quote unquote. My shirts are t-shirts, and my hair, me wearing it down is a surprise. Even my therapist is like, oh, did you do something different to your hair today? And I'm like, nope, I just had it down, because I always have it up or in a bun, and it's kind of like messy. And I don't hardly ever wear makeup. So I hear what you're saying, that I see other women around me, or even men, that groom themselves. And I would ask them like, oh, well, what time do you wake up? And sometimes they say like an hour or so a day before they have to get ready. and leave the house. And I can't do that. I literally roll out of bed. I get my clothes the night before. So I give myself 10 minutes. I meal prep the night before. So I just grab everything on the go. I carry my daughter and we're out the door. From the minute I get out of bed to my car, it's 15 minutes. And that's how I go to work.
Wow. Good for you.
I don't. And like I'm single, so you would think I would care a little bit more about my appearance, but I'm at that age right now where I genuinely don't care what other people think about me. And I think it comes from a sense of confidence, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's age and the fact that you're a mom, because you get so tired. And I think it's a karma thing that happened to me, because when I was younger, maybe like a teenager, I would always see like young moms and I would be like, they were always like, their hair was messy, sweats, t-shirts in Cyprus, you know? And I would just be like, oh, I would never, I'm always going to be looking pretty when I'm a mom. And it's like, boom, karma slapped me in the face. And I was young and dumb. Like I said that because I had no idea. But as I got older, I started to realize like, no. And then when I became a mom, it was game over. Like, be lucky if you get a good night rest. That's good for you. That's it. You should celebrate that, because it's not going to happen ever when you have kids and when they're young. And so, like me too. It's just like, oh, my style changed completely because I guess it's age, like maturity, but also just like, there's no way. How do these people do it? that, you know, I mean, good for them, you know, but like, if I can get a little bit more sleep, I'd rather that over like, look, I'm going to just lose the eyeliner. I'm not going to use fountain. We're going to have to accept the acne scars. We're going to have to, everything. I was like, no, I'm done. I used to straighten my hair every single day. And eyeliner, black eyeliner was like my signature. Like, I will never walk out without eyeliner. It's just like,
I know.
Gotta minimize.
In my 20s, in my early 20s specifically, I would always think like I could never go to work without makeup. And I don't know if it's age. So that's why I kind of stopped myself if I said it earlier, because there's older people than me and it still affects them. So I don't think age is a factor. I think it's the confidence within us. Because as we get older, you know, that's you and I, it applies to. But, you know, if we look at older people like our grandparents saying those remarks, you know, like, why do they care so much?
I have another example. So, you know, my daughter, she's always been like an independent thinker. You know how some kids are like more like, not everyone's different, right? She's more like, she likes to make her own decisions. And as she's gone older, she wants to make more decisions on herself. For example, like dressing herself. And it started like last year where she got really like, it was just too much. Like she really wanted to dress herself. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to fight over her not matching or looking good or whatever. And I had to keep telling me in my head, like when I did want to get upset, like that does not go. Like obviously, you know, like when kids pick their own outfit, you're just kind of like, no, society will not accept that. But then I have to tell myself, like, stop. Like if you want to teach your daughter how to respect her individuality, don't make them like everybody else. She doesn't have to match. She doesn't know that yet. She doesn't know people are gonna be like, that doesn't match. She doesn't know that concept yet, you know? And I want to support her, you know,
creativity,
untaintedness. Yeah, before she gets into the age where someone is going to say, you know, we all get to that age where it's just like, oh, this is just how I dressed. I didn't realize it wasn't acceptable to society. And I have to tell myself a lot, like, yeah, people are going to say stuff. People are going to judge you. Who cares? This is for your daughter and you respecting her individuality. And I think it's hard for parents anytime, especially like millennial parents. We're so sensitive, you know, we don't let our kids get dirty. We don't let them get hurt emotionally, physically. And we're just like, no, we're going to protect you. So, you know, we went to the other extreme where it's coming from a good place, but it's coming from a place where now we care too much what our children represent because we think that, oh, what are the neighbors going to think if that's how my kid represents themselves? Versus, who gives a fuck? They're going to say something. Know that always. Someone's always going to say something because we're all different. We all think differently. We all think your way of thinking is wrong and my way of thinking is right. Or, oh, you agree with me, so we get it. You know what I mean? Like we all think that. And the moment we accept that it's okay. People are going to say these things, but what really matters is like who we are, the energies we're giving off. That's what should be important, not whether my child matches or not. Or sometimes she doesn't want me to do her hair. And I'm like, I hated when I had to do my hair. Why do I got to make her? Because she has to be socially accepted. You know, like that's also a fear-based for acceptance, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Fear-based.
But I feel like we're kind of pushing the boundaries a lot more than when we were kids. Like things are not so like gender roles like they used to be. I think we're playing with it a lot more or testing that line or trying to even remove that line from our norms, you know?
Yeah, I think the gender stuff is getting way better. Even the toys or like cartoons.
And the
Yeah,
colors.
that definitely is getting better.
Yeah, I think a lot more little girls are being or just, you know, for both things in different aspects of our lives. It's just socially accepted where it's like it doesn't matter what you are or how you want to be. It's like anyone can do what you want to do, you know? And I think we are instilling that within our daughters and we're seeing it. It's prevalent there, but it is a different time. And I think we're just kind of all testing the waters with that. So like, you know, we don't even have it. We didn't go through what our kids are going to go through. It's a different time. It's a different generation. And I'm always consciously trying to be mindful of that, you know, like the things that come out of my mouth, like how my daughter just absorbs everything I say and do, you know, it's not her just me kind of commanding her to do these things. Like I have to show my actions with it.
She's copying you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy because you have so much more responsibility now because you're like, just because I did it doesn't mean you need to do it. But then it's like, well, then check yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
I know. And I can't get upset with her because she's learning it from me. And I feel like we never really, as parents, want to own up to like being at fault, you know, but essentially it's like that pointing like, oh no, well, she learned it in school. Oh no, she learned it from that kid. But it's all about self-reflection and instilling that confidence within them. And I think I was reading a statistic like more than ever, little girls are way more confident now than like little girls, like 5, 4, 6 year olds than ever like recorded in I don't know how many years. So I think we're doing something right with our generation. You know, we are like, I was just telling you, like, I trip out on how confident Melody is. Like at her age, I was never like that. And even my mom tells me, like, you guys were never that spoken or outspoken about like what you wanted to do because we were so shy and timid. And I'm like, that makes me proud. Like my daughter is going to have a voice. She's going to say like, no, don't do this, or I don't like it, or step away. Like, I don't, you know, and it's little things like that we're showing our daughters, like even the smallest things. Like I remember when I was, when she was becoming of age, I was taught to hug everyone in the room, regardless of who you knew this person or not. And I'm changing that. I don't want my daughter to just hug anyone out of respect. It's like, well, if she doesn't want to touch this person, she could acknowledge them, but it's about showing her boundaries and like self-respect within herself. Like this is her choice. I'm not going to make her do anything she doesn't want to do.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice. I'm glad that you gave that a positive twist because I was like, you know what else grinds my gears? But you know what else grinds my gears? And that's a quote from Family Guy. So I think also what is changing is the way that we are going to learn to communicate. Like social media, I feel, is changing the game when it comes to communication. And so what I see sometimes is like older generations that grew up not with the phone being around until they were older, like even us, right? Like the phone was around for me in high school.
Mm-hmm. But even then, it was like a flip phone.
Well, I had the one. Remember the Nokia one that everyone had with the snake game? And you got to pick the different plastics. You're probably like in middle school.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And so, but anyways, what I'm saying is, it was different and it didn't evolve into what it is now, social media wise, until college. It was starting like with MySpace and Facebook, where kids are being born into like, this is the reality, right? So it's so different. And so I feel that a lot of adults think, oh, they're not communicating when they're on their phone. The way we learned to communicate was in person. And so the majority of what they know is learning to communicate via social media, but it doesn't look like it looked like before. So we judge it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, well, communication is transforming, because if parents think, and Gary Vee says this, if parents think that the kids aren't communicating, even though they're looking down on their screen, they are communicating. That's my babes that always interrupts me every single episode. But anyways, and so I think that's something that's changing. You know, it's putting it's creating tension. I feel like every single time in different. Sorry, you guys. We're gonna have to edit this part of the video out. Okay. Where was I?
You said communication's transforming. So before it looked a lot different with our parents' generation, even our generation, and now it's like social media.
Yeah.
So do pay attention to what you say.
Thank you. Yeah. So I just think that's another cool, interesting thing to study now, is that, you know, how communication is changing, and how just because it looks different to the older generations doesn't mean that it's wrong. And we need to learn how to find that balance, because I'm not afraid of technology, and my daughter's young, she doesn't have a phone, but when she does, I want to model where there are times that I put my phone away. You know, like when I'm eating dinner, to me, that's like a sacred time, especially if I'm eating with somebody else, with my daughter or with my mom, or if I'm out with a friend, with you, you know, like whoever it is, like I would never be on, I don't know, to me, like, that's just like, I wouldn't take a call. I wouldn't even, my phone's there for an emergency, but it's not like I'm going to use it, because I feel like it's our moment together. And so, you know, there's like little things that you can implement, and but we're on our phone just as much. So it's like, we got to model it. Like if we want to teach them how to also communicate the way we learned how to communicate, but we also have to understand, like, they're also communicating. It looks different, and so we're like hesitant to it, but it's also normal.
Yeah, they're adapting to like, the advancements of technology. And that is a good and bad thing sometimes. I also struggle with that. I have no idea when that time comes when she wants a phone. I'm like that extreme parent. Either it's yes or no. Like, I don't believe in a spectrum. Just kidding. I'm learning. No, but by then you would have gone through it. So you're going to have a lot more better pointers for me. Like, Jess, this is what I did and didn't do. So try.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm relying on you, Prima. Don't let me down.
I don't know. That is hard, because I do put myself sometimes in my brother's shoes, my older brothers, and they have teenagers, and I'm just like, oh my God, like when my daughter's a teenager, that's just a whole different ball game. So I'm not gonna pretend to know what I'm doing. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, because we were talking about youth. Yeah. And it's something that I feel like parents will get mad at a lot. And it's just like, don't let them be on there for 4 hours straight. You should take them outside or be active or whatever. But hey, we're all trying the best that we can.
Just roll with it.
So much wisdom in that.
Right?
Phrase.
Bro, I got to tell you the story behind that. It's just so funny.
Do you want to tell it to the primos and primas?
It was my old boss. So if you're listening, old boss, I'm sorry. I won't say your name. We were all in a Zoom meeting, and he's like a big boss, you know, and he's talking, and his wife literally just cuts him off while he's talking. So it's different if he was on mute, like, hey, I don't know if you're talking or if you're even on the meeting anymore, but he's legit talking. And she's like, are you gonna go pick up the kids? And he looks up at her and is like, I'm talking to my team right now, you know, like I'm still in work hours. And then she's like, okay, well, the kids need to get picked up, and like it's past the time you need to leave. So are you gonna go pick them up? And then like he mutes himself, and we were like, oh damn, like just saying stuff like quiere llorar, and you know, just making fun of him. And then the next day we're like, dang boss, like what happened? Did you go pick up your kids? He said he lives down the street. It's like a 2-minute drive, you know, so he really wasn't running late. And then he's like, hey, like wife, I didn't really appreciate you doing that during my like Zoom meeting with my team. And And then she's like, we'll just roll with it next time. And I was just, I couldn't stop laughing because it's so true.
There's a backstory. Yeah.
And I'm like,
that is funny, but it's true.
Exactly.
It's never not true. You have to just roll with it.
You know, and I just thought it was so funny. I'm gonna start applying that to like future relationships. Maybe that was the recipe to all the failure. Like I wouldn't roll with it. I would always like abrupt it and be like, actually, it's not gonna roll like that. So what's the problem?
No, I think you're good. I think you're learning, right? Don't you learn a lot when you're single about yourself? And yeah, the longer you're single, the better you are.
I'm going on 4 months. This is the longest time in history. Yeah. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Wow.
I haven't touched my little black book in 4 months. So that's growth.
Once you pass a certain time, you won't even want to. That's where I'm at, where people are like starting to feel bad for me. Like, dang, that's sad. And I'm like, I don't even have it in me anymore.
Yeah. I hope I don't get to you. Gee.
Like, am I a woman? Do I have needs? I just figured some other stuff. I don't know. I don't know where this is taking me in life. I'm just rolling with it. But I just get other people's opinions, just like everyone feels bad. And I'm just like, I get it. Like, I understand, but I'm fine. Everyone's like, no, you're crazy. Like, you need to fix it. You need to work on yourself. Like, I'm trying. Okay. So take care of yourself. Moral of the story, right?
No, just roll with it.
Just roll with it. This episode should be called Just Roll With It.
I know.
I wanted to remind or just kind of like rephrase the fact that we are about the supporting of stepping outside of your comfort zone. And so when we talk about fears, right? Like what are the neighbors going to say? Or what are our parents going to say? Our siblings, our co-workers. I mean, it could be anybody. We need to not be afraid of feeling uncomfortable, right? Like, don't we get that as a bad rep in our generation, is that we're so sensitive?
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with being sensitive, but face your fears, right? Like, there's things that I can be sensitive to, but then I'm asking those things that my state of mind is dependent on how they make me feel. So I have to take control of it because I am a sensitive person. And for a long time, I thought, oh, I'm so weak. Like, I'm so sensitive to everything and I'm so afraid of everything. And then when I started to work on myself, you know, you become a little bit fearless and you start seeing like, oh, stepping outside of your comfort zone isn't that bad. And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, that does make sense. And I feel like a lot of our life choices has brought us here and provided that sense of confidence, or like facing our insecurities, you know, like we've put ourselves out there and this is what we've gotten and made us who we are today, you know. But stepping outside our comfort zone, I mean, that's what we started off this podcast as, like challenging ourselves and not being so comfortable, because I think previous generations, we just saw that. And you and I just want to always shake and question our foundation of morals and principles and boundaries and respect, and always questioning that. And I think that brought us to that point. Mm-hmm.
And weren't those things uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm. 100%.
To put boundaries up on our parents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're Mexican. That's very disrespectful to them. And it's going through all those motions and just so if you can do it with your parents and your siblings, you know, like people closest to you, it's way easier to do it. But it's so uncomfortable, like with me and my mom's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's great. Now I feel very confident about it. But in the beginning, I was so scared of stepping outside of my comfort zone because I'm like, my mom's not going to receive this well. I already know it. We've never had a good relationship. And I just kept limiting myself instead of putting myself there. And it was very uncomfortable to face my fears with my mom. And, but the more I did it, the better it got. And now we're
Like
getting
where
to
you
a
are.
place where we can joke about it. Like,
Mhm.
oh, do we need our space for a few days? Versus where it was like really like toxic vibes and stuff. Now it's just, we've practiced it enough, and I tell her like, it's going to be uncomfortable. We have a
Yeah.
lot of history. We are tied together as mother and daughter. We have a lot of, there's so much. It's going to be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but let's be okay with it being uncomfortable.
Definitely. And it's unlearning everything we've been taught our whole life, that I'm barely a year into questioning 30 years of beliefs and ideologies and lifestyles that were implemented on us. Like, well, this is how a female is supposed to look, or this is how female is supposed to be. And I'm just, no, I questioned everything to this day, where I'm just like, well, that doesn't fit for me. It may fit for someone else who looks like me and acts like me, but it's not going to fit for me, and it's not a one size that fits all solution. And I think that's like,
once you get to that point.
Yeah, that's a big takeaway. And you and I are very similar, but we're nothing the same, and people might think we think similarly, but we know, we don't. And that's okay. We don't have to, you and I don't have to fall in this box and be labeled a certain way, And I think even more so, you are challenging a lot of those labels. And I think I'm barely starting to come to like just certain things of the way we were taught that I'm like, no, that doesn't fit or apply to me anymore. I'm not who I was when I was 25. And I'm pretty proud of that. It takes a lot of courage to step outside your comfort zone. It's not easy.
But once you do, you feel better. And it's the solution to step outside of your comfort zone. And so I want to talk about more solutions with regards to facing your fears and stepping outside of your comfort zone is, so one thing I'm doing right now, because I saw it on this YouTube video, but I'll watch YouTube videos to like how to get more mentally disciplined or like get ideas and stuff. And so this person was journaling a lot. Like they were reading in the morning or journaling in the morning. And I want to start implementing that. I've heard of this before. So I know that it's good, but I just stopped doing it. And so I'm like, okay, once I get back from my break, I want to start eating like way more clean. Because I've been playing around a lot. Like sometimes I'll just go to McDonald's here and there and just like, why am I doing this? I'm spending money and I'm eating bad, So yeah, so like that, the gym, like my goals are just more aggressive now, including the podcast, including, my work and my role as a mom and all that stuff. And what is helping me right now is either listening to like a motivational speech in the morning. Like there's so many different kinds on YouTube.
TED Talks? Like a TED Talk?
No, because like the motivational ones are more like, they're like affirmations. So there's like a bazillion you can pick from. You can pick like financial like affirmations, like I attract money and money flows to me, or it could be like peace of mind, like I want to be at peace with the situation, or so like there's different motivational things to get you going. So I started that, and then I started to do like journaling. So, and it's not hardcore, it's just like, what are you thankful for? And I kind of, you start off with a great mood, knowing that you learned something, even if I read just a page. But that's how you should start. Well, what I'm doing is that's, starting my morning with reading something motivational, then listening to something motivational, and or then journaling, like what I'm thankful for is a good way to, it's a great way to stay in shape. Just kidding. That's a Family Guy quote. But
can you stop quoting Family Guy?
So, yeah.
I don't even watch that show. Can we just like, make it
Some
all about
people
me?
do.
You could only quote things. I'm gonna send you a list of things that are appropriate for you to quote. How about that?
See, this is how we're so different, is because there's like, you can tell in our choices in music and in like comedy, our comedies are so different, and people would probably think it's so alike, and it's just not. Just doesn't get it. No, just kidding. But I'm into like, yeah, like Family Guy.
You have
Did you
guy
ever watch
humor. You have very guy humor. Like I bet you think South Park's so funny.
I think the creators of South Park are amazing individuals. They made Team America.
I didn't know that.
That is not a gender thing. That is just a beautiful situation. You didn't know that?
I did not know that. No. Wow, I've
Those
been
guys are
hating.
crazy.
Yeah, I've been hating on them, and who would have known? They make one of the best movies. I quote to this day.
South Park is cool. I think it's cool, but I never got into it like I did to Seth MacFarlane, who's the creator of Family Guy and American Dad. I love them. Yeah.
I like American Dad, but I don't know. Family Guy, and I'm sure they're similar, aren't they? Like both families and like weird animal
No.
characters, like Stewie and the dog in Family
Just
Guy.
don't even talk
Okay,
about
sorry.
it. It's the dog. He is a part of the family. His name is Brian. You know, the baby with the head.
See what I mean? Never mind. Yeah, I'm just digging myself in a hole. Can't wait for Eloy
Okay,
to
but
edit
anyways,
this. He's gonna get so
yeah.
angry. He cut me off of the
I know.
podcast.
He's like, there's no way I can fix this. You guys are live now. Read a book, open your brains, and I'm done.
And watch
like,
Family Guy.
"No." And watch Family Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. I feel better, you guys. I feel like we're aligning, and that's gonna hopefully, no, it will, give us the opportunity to produce better content for the podcast. But as always, please talk to us. I slide in people's DMs. If you guys are listening, you know this by now, and I'll be like, you have a cool fucking story. Sorry, I cussed. I'm trying to work on my cussing for presentation purposes. But yeah, so like if you have any feedback, if you like Family Guy, if you want to hear something specific, sometimes people will be like, hey, you should talk about this. And I'm just kind of like, but what about that? You know, like, so if you guys do ever have any ideas and you want to talk, I don't know, like, not that we get a lot, but, you know, it's kind of cool when people do be like, talk about this. But then I'm also like, well, but what about that? You know, because some topics are, I'm like, where should we go with it? So if you ever have advice, if you ever have feedback, even if it's something that you don't agree with, we are okay with that. We're learning. We're stepping outside of our comfort zones. And we mean that when we're offered even negative criticism, to us, it's all good. It's all
Yeah. We
beautiful.
just roll with
we're
it.
thankful for it. We just roll with it. So yeah. Oh, what's self-care tip of the day? So this is a simple one, you guys. It's water. That's the self-care tip of the day. It's just really hot. My lips, I don't know if you guys saw me put chapstick on like 30,000 times. They're burnt so bad because when I went to Mexico, I drink a lot of water, but I consumed a lot of coffee and alcohol. They're micheladas. It's the rim. They put salt on it and it just messed everything up. Yeah.
And you don't even drink as it is. So yeah, that really did.
It was just really bad. And they're still messed up. They still feel horrible. And anyway, so water is just really good for so many things, for your skin, for your digestion. Like it'll help your metabolism. It's good for everything. I can be on here forever, but just hydrate. Don't forget to hydrate. Drink about 4 to 6 of these a day.
Yeah, especially with summer coming around. I've been drinking so much water. But my self-care tip of the day is just roll with it. Bro, this episode is going to call roll with it. I think that's just like the best advice. You know, when you hear advice, like recently, you just kind of like, it's like you, with those hands. Like Cindy's on these silly emoji hands and even got me using them.
It's not silly if it's everywhere.
Doesn't it apply to everything? It does. I do it for everything. Like at first it was a yoga one that I was just applying for everything. I was like, have a good day. And it was like the yoga emoji. And my friends are like, you're so annoying. Stop using it. And now it's like these hand ones.
We should have a repeat of season 1 where you are making fun of me. This is always going to be Jessica. She makes fun of me. And then 2-3 years later, she's like, whatever, I'll do it then. And so the emojis, you would get so annoyed because in season 1, I was like, what are your guys' favorite emojis? And I had like a bunch and you're like, I don't even use emojis.
I know. Now I'm like using yours, which is so annoying. I'm even annoyed at myself. So
the feeling. It's just an emoji speaks to me and then I'm like, huh. And then it's just obsessive. I use it for everything. But anyways, all right, you guys. Well, thanks for coming back and listening. Please give us feedback, even if it's whatever. Just be like, hey, We'd appreciate it. Makes us feel really happy.
We do. All right, Prima, did you practice your new sign off or?
It's a song.
Oh, great. Let's just stop now.
Just it's a little jingle. I'm bringing my inner Mariah Carey out, so it's like not a big deal. Just kidding. Yeah, right. Okay, so yeah, thanks for listening. This is kind of awkward, right? When we started, it's awkward. Now that we're ending, it's just kind of like, okay, so. But anyways, thanks for listening. As always, we drop YouTube videos every Friday on YouTube at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And now there's video. Yay. Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.